Oh hey, what's up? Long time no see. Hey, since I have you here, I want to ask, if you had 24 hours to do anything you want, and anything, like go anywhere, money is no object, you can buy anything you want, what would you do? I mean, it probably wouldn't be laundry, but the most fun thing you can think of. We're asking that today because we're going to be talking about heaven. Now, weird intro, weird segue, but there's a reason for that. Let's talk about it. Ooh, just like old times. A lot of times we get our idea of heaven from paintings or movies, and a lot of times that looks like, you know, fluffy white clouds, white robes with halos, and little babies with their butt hanging out, flying around, playing harps. But is that really what heaven is supposed to be like? I mean, that seems kind of boring. Heaven is supposed to be this like reward, this end of the line, you did it, enter into eternal life with God. And honestly, if I'm gonna be hanging around with curly haired babies playing harps, that doesn't sound very fun. I mean, very often, without even realizing it, we get a lot of what we think about heaven or about God or Jesus from the culture around us. And that could include, you know, old paintings that you see in museums of heaven and, you know, baby lamb Jesus. We've talked about this before, but if you read the Bible, the last book is called Revelation. Just the one, it's not plural. Anyway, it talks about what heaven is going to be like, and I personally, I don't know if it's metaphor, poetry, symbolism, but it talks about buildings made out of jewels and streets made of gold, and like these terrifying angels that are covered in wings, and the wings are covered in eyes, and they're all just like chanting over and over, and it sounds pretty crazy and pretty awesome. But if we think of heaven as a reward, which it is, then we live this life not to get that reward, but to know that no matter what happens, no matter what goes on in our lives, that in the end, that we get to be with God, that we get to be with Jesus in heaven together. It helps us to put into context the things that we go through in our lives, whether it's, you know, you're texting someone and all of a sudden they stop texting you back, or you are friends with someone and then they stab you in the back, or you think you're going to get into this college or get a good grade on your test, and then it comes back and you're just like, ooh, that didn't work out the way I wanted it to. No matter what happens in our life, if we know that heaven is waiting for us, if we know that Jesus is waiting with what he promised us, then it's all going to be good. And you can rest assured that it's going to be good. I mean, think of a verse like 1 Corinthians 2:9, which says, no eye has seen, no ear has heard, no mind has imagined what God has in store for us. And so I look at like movies where they're like super cool, or like inventions that people make, or the most beautiful sunrise, or honestly sunset, because I don't want to wake up early enough. And I look at that and I say, wow, okay, this is like blowing my mind. It's so cool. It's beautiful. It's awesome. It's super fun. But this is not, no eye has seen, no ear has heard, and no mind has imagined yet. So no matter what I see, what I hear, what I do, or even the like cool stories that people imagine, all of that pales in comparison to how good heaven is going to be. Now, this is kind of a weird video because there's one way to get to heaven, and that's, you know, but we don't have to worry about that. If you follow Jesus, if you accept Jesus, if you believe in what he did, that he died and rose again, that it's actually, you go from life into greater life. And Jesus said that he came that we may have life, and life in the full. He meant full life now and also for eternity. And so we can rest assured that no matter what happens to us, we have life in the full waiting for us on the other side. But don't rush. Don't. I've been watching a lot of Survivor lately. Literally, like, I've watched 20 seasons. Holy! Anyway, actually I'm watching it backwards. So I started at season like 26 and then 25, 24. And it's weird because, you know, based on like the next season, you know who won the last season. And so going through, there's parts where like, oh, who's in trouble? Who's going home? What's gonna happen? You're like, I kind of already know what's gonna happen. I know who's gonna win. And if you have the perspective where, you know what, in the end, no matter what happens in life, that I'm gonna be with Jesus, I'm gonna be in heaven, in eternal life, then, well, no matter what happens, you have that perspective. You say, you know what, all this stuff, this drama, this tea that's being spilled, ooh, relatable, in my life, all of it's gonna be okay in the end, because I'm gonna be with Jesus. So this week, we challenge you. What do you think about heaven? What do you think of when you think of heaven? Is it what God talks about, or is it like old Renaissance paintings? Do you have the perspective of heaven that, you know, no matter what happens, it's all gonna be okay in the end? Hey, so we're doing videos every other week now. Today, and then not next week, but the next week, because Alive is twice a month. It's coming up this Friday if you're watching it, the time that it comes out. And so register at our website, metrochristianschurch.com. All right? Hey, we'll see you there. And we'll see you here. And we'll see you... I couldn't think of a third one. Okay. Shoots!